All right, guys, what's going on? We are here another amazing evening in the most beautiful city in all the world, Winnipeg. Thank you to everybody who watched, shared, commented, all that stuff. The video with JF, it was a really popular interview. You guys love JF. I love JF. It makes perfect sense. So thanks to everybody that we got a bunch of new subscribers out of it. So welcome, anybody who might be new. You might have noticed, though, that the episode ended very abruptly, kind of out of nowhere. So we have a wonderful, wonderful man named Denzel who helps us with our production. He puts up with me not answering messages. He mans all the social media, and he uploads all of our content. Now, sometimes because he's just one man helping out, not a professional, just a guy, mistakes happen, and that's what happened. The last episode cut off before I talked about this ass powerlifting meet that I went to. So we're going to give you guys that as a little bit of a bonus episode here. So enjoy. It's going to be a short one, but that's okay. And we'll be back with more interviews or just strongman content or whatever it might be very, very soon. It is, ladies and gentlemen, our 3 for 3. Another interview just with a fantastic person. Great interview. Like that was awesome, eh?
That was really fun.
And I'll say after we went off the air, he told us that he listens to the podcast and he enjoys it very much. Thinks that we're doing good
I
work
wish
here.
I was recording that because that meant a lot to me.
Yes, that was very nice for him to say. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. And thank you again to JF for taking time to just sit with us. As we talked about in the interview, he's one of the busier guys going today, despite not being a competitor anymore. Busier now, as he said himself. He's got a lot coming up with North Americans coming up, so very excited about that. And how about that for an Iron Age exclusive? That it will be broadcast on TV for the first time, which is very, very exciting.
On what?
On RDS. That's right. Which sucks because RDS films it in that way that you only are on it if you do well.
No, but there is a way to get on it because you got on it quite a few times on your first CSM because you kept saying things like really obnoxiously. Yes,
that's true.
Like when you said RDS just now,
and point to the letters on the thing. That's what I do every time. And it gets me on there every time. That's if you're a new person going to Canada's Strongest Man, and I'm not there because I'll do it before you. Point to the RDS on the microphone. It'll make sure that you're the last person that they show on the little intro. It's pretty cool.
Just make sure that you make it as obvious as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you have to. So that was awesome. A little wrangle up of the local stuff that we have coming up here. So we've passed the level 1 of the log competition, the log charity exhibition. We've passed level 2 of the novice competition, which was, have we spoken on that?
Barely. We've barely touched on it.
Amazing success. Thank you to everybody who came out. Thank you to all the competitors. I don't remember if we talked in that last episode or not, but it was great. And a real confidence boost for me and Gian that we did it without the D-man, and it went really well. And me and Gian and everybody who helped us. There was
honestly, I couldn't thank all of our volunteers more.
No.
It wouldn't be possible without them because if it was just you and me, there wouldn't be a show.
There would not be a show. It would look very, very different at least.
It'd be real shit. I can tell you that.
It would be 3 events, and it would be log, deadlift, and a sandbag throw for distance.
It's 3 events, and then I just pick the first 3 that show up in front of me, and then those 3 get to compete.
Absolutely, and and we're not keeping score. So thanks to everybody who came out for that one. Our next one that we have coming up now is we have May 10th already coming up. We have 51 competitors. We snuck in one more guy, a very ill-advised 51st competitor for Tolstoy at Battle at the Border 3. That's our first SCC qualifier of the year. Super excited for that one. It's going to be...
This guy better fucking win.
It's going to be... Yeah, wouldn't that be great if the 51st guy won?
Very Royal Rumble.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So we're really looking forward to that one. It's going to be a huge amount of competitors. They have live music there. They have food there. They have a beer gardens. It's all at Elsie's Hotel in Tolstoy, right at the border there. Turn off your data, or turn off your roaming at least before you get there. And following that, we have Western Canada's Strongest Master, which will be in Morris as part of Battle at the Rumble in the Valley. Yep, excuse me. Great event that they have there. They like the strongman. We like them. What more could you ask for? We are looking for a couple more Masters men's competitors. The spots are available if they're wanted, and we are looking for some more women. If you've been on the fence at all, or if you know someone who's been on the fence, push them the fuck over to the right side of the fence. And following that, we have Shake the Interlakes Strong Mania. I called Shake the Lake last time. I felt like an absolute idiot. Shake the Interlakes Strong Mania, held at Iron Image, the second SCC qualifier of the year. So if you don't get your qualification from Tolstoy, this is the only other place to get it for provincials and then nationals.
When is that? What date?
July 12th.
Perfect.
Yep. And then, before that though, June 29th. The heaviest competition in the province, Manitoba's strongest man and woman. We will be crowning the best strong man and strong woman in the province. And you know what? I always say this too. Like when Devin won a couple years ago, I didn't do it because I was going to CSM like 2 weeks later. And people would be like, "Oh well, Devin with an asterisk." No. It's the person who showed up that day and competed and won the competition. That's the strongest person in the province.
Yep.
There's no asterisks. There's no this person wasn't there. There's no that person wasn't there. If I won't be competing this year, so the person that beats me is the person who competed the person who wins, excuse me, is the person that competed and beat me, and they are the strongest person in the province. There's no asterisks involved in this kind of stuff. It's the people who show up and who are ready to compete that they're the strongest. So I'm really looking forward to whoever that might be. There's between Langelar and Dan and Jeremy and probably faces that I'm not even aware of that could really come in and shake things up. There's a really strong contingent of guys here to really, and that's just the men's side. The women's side, we have Anna, we have Jocelyn, we have Ariel, we have Kelly, who's becoming a bit of a dark horse competitor in her own right. We have just a ton of really, really talented people. Aaron from Winkler. I'm really, really excited to see both the men's and women's division shake out on that one, and we really find out who is the strongest people in the province. And then we got more later on, but we'll discuss those as we get more to them. So I gave a little hint that I would discuss this powerlifting meet that I went to. It was 2 weeks ago now? Week and a half.
A week ago.
Week and a half, we'll say. And I want to start with the good stuff. I'll preface it with the things that I thought were really great about this meet. It was ran with that Swiss Army watch efficiency that powerlifting meets are usually run with. It was very efficient. It was very timely. Everything was done the way that you want to see it. I think that strongman competitions could learn a little bit from powerlifting meets in that way. It was the venue was great. They put a lot of work into the production of it. They had a stream. They had like the pre thing videos, like the athlete hype videos and stuff. They had music for the athletes. They really put a lot of work into this, and I don't want to diminish any of that. I don't want to make it seem like they didn't, like effort wasn't put into it, or it wasn't, whatever, like a lot of work, because it sure was. Now, the problems begin with the actual competition itself. So, I wish that Thrones was here because he could explain this better than me. But if I recall this correctly, 10 invites were given to the province's top-ranked 10 men. 20 invites to the top 10 men, top 10 women, regardless of weight class, regardless of age class, that kind of stuff. And so there's also a wild card or 2 wild cards in both the men's and the women's, I think, where you were voted in. Now, that's kind of where the problem starts a little bit, because it's supposed to be the best lifters in the province, and now it's turning into also who has a good following or whatever, right? Where it changes that a little bit.
It changes because of how it's scored and how you win.
That's the thing. So that wouldn't matter as much if it was just a straight up who's the strongest competition. But boy, oh boy, was it not that. So now I'm past the point of having that like open weight strongman brain where I'm like, well, the guy who gets the heaviest total should be the winner. I get that. That's not how it's going to be, and that's not powerlifting. I understand that. So Langelar had the heaviest total. He didn't have a great meet by his own standards, but but objectively he had a good meet because he'll
never agree to that.
Well, he doesn't have to agree with it. It's my fucking show. He had a good meet. He had a big total. He set a bunch of provincial records. I know he has bigger goals than just like provincial records, so it doesn't really mean the same to him. But whatever. But now if we're talking about more powerlifting things, Ladanian, our guy, had the second biggest total despite weighing like 98 kilos.
Yeah.
So one of the, like in the lighter weight classes, hit a provincial record deadlift, had the highest GL points, had a really, really fantastic day. And he got second place, Langelar, not even on the podium. Now, this is not a big deal. If somebody had been a better lifter that day than Ladanian, that's the way it goes. That's just called the art of sport.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. But that's not what happened. So the way that they score this powerlifting meet is that however you do it provincials, it's however much you improve at this meet. You get like a percentage or a coefficient or whatever the fuck based on how much you improve. Now, just hearing that, some red flags should kind of go off in your head because there's a few problems with that. They're kind of trying to do it like Sheffield style, but they should just do it Sheffield style, where if you beat the provincial records, that's how that's how you get your points. But what they do instead is this most improved award. So now,
which is the most powerlifting fucking thing I've ever heard.
it is a very powerlifting thing, but there's a couple of red flags that should go up in this situation. Who improves the fastest?
New people.
Beginners. That's exactly right. Now, if you
new people with a following that voted them in.
If you take the system that they have, where it's like the top 10 being invited based on being the best lifters, that's one thing. But what if you start to include this thing where you can be voted in? And you don't have to be a good lifter to get in. In fact, you can be a brand new, pretty mediocre lifter. And this is no hate on the kid who won. I want to make that very.
It's not his fault.
No, I want to make that very clear. He got an invite to do a competition. He went and did it, and he won. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just the way that the competition was set up. So now this kid, he has a beginner's total at provincials,
yeah,
just like normal, whatever. And then he gets a marginally better total because he's a beginner, and they see progression like that. Langelar and Ladanian or especially Langelar, are much more experienced athletes. The progression comes a little slower when you start to get closer to that top end range. So this young man, and this is no hate on him because he just went and had a meet.
You can't blame him for taking advantage of the situation.
Nope. He had 4 made lifts in the day, 4 out of 9, if you don't understand how powerlifting works. He, by reading his own breakdown of it, he had no PRs, he had no special like lifts, and nothing that was like a big deal or anything. And when they announced the podium that Ladanian got second place and he got first, I was livid.
You threw a little baby tantrum.
No, I didn't. I didn't throw a little. Internally I threw a tantrum, but I didn't make it like a
you didn't do it near the stage, but from where I was standing, because I was standing in the lobby, because that's where I was allowed to eat. You went, it's a waste of my fucking day.
Well, it wasn't, and that's one thing that I still stand by to this point, is that it's a waste of time. It's a waste of everybody's time to spend all day at a competition and then not have the best lifter. I think on the women's side, the best lifter was rewarded.
I believe so.
Jenna is her name, Jen, and she had a really great day, and I think that was an example of it going the right way.
Yeah.
But on the men's side, when the best lifter of the day is equal to most improved lifter of the day, that doesn't mean that they're the best lifter. And what that turns into is, like I said, it's like the ultimate participation award, and it made it feel like I was like, this was just a waste of my fucking time. And now, luckily, I really, really enjoy handling and watching Candice and Ladanian lift.
Yes.
So I enjoy that part of it. They like I would go and do that for them at any meet for any reason. But it was frustrating to say the least. And Ladanian's a much better sport than I am. So he just took his award, took his pictures, and he got out of there.
He's so unbothered.
Yeah, but I was pretty frustrated.
I just feel really bad because Candice felt really bad bringing us to this thing that she knows we're probably going to be grumpy about.
Right.
But I don't know how else to tell her that we would go to anything if you're involved.
if I wasn't handling her, I had already bought a ticket. I was going to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd rather actually be doing something and be busier and not be bored the whole time.
Yeah.
But it was also my birthday too, so it was a great way to spend a birthday, hanging out with Candice and Ladanian. I do like that, honestly. But yeah, I'll say this too, is that I don't expect them to make any changes based on my opinion. I don't think that they.
I don't think they give a fuck about you.
I don't think they'll ever hear this. I don't think that they give a fuck, and I don't think that if they did hear it, they'd be like, that's something we should consider. I just don't think that they'll.
You know what? This guy that really hates us has a point.
Yeah. No, I don't think that they'll give a shit what I say, and maybe they shouldn't. Who knows? But I really, 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 really think that changes have to be made for that.
Yeah.
It's just not good. It's to quote a great man, it was a waste of my fucking time. Anyway, this has been a little bit of a long episode here. JF was awesome to talk to, and I
He talked to us for like an extra 20 minutes after.
Yeah, that's I've talked to him before, and it's always turns into like, holy shit, I can't believe we chatted for that long. But I could have sat there and like we had more questions, and I'm sorry that if I didn't get to your question, I really want to try to get to them all. But his answers were so good. Like he had great responses to everything, and I didn't want to be like, hold on now, we gotta get to the next fucking question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I didn't get to yours, I really apologize. Please send another one for the next person that we have. It's gonna be either Max or Shane Flowers. I gotta figure that out still.
Right.
There's your announcement. Max or Shane Flowers.
Yeah, one of the two.
TBD. But in the meantime, thank you guys very much for listening. Share the video with a friend if anybody is a fan of JF Karan or of Strongman, or he had a lot of great insight there for competitors. A lot of great insight for people who are just generally interested in the sport of Strongman. So share it, let him hear it, and we will see you guys
Some point. Bye.
some point. Bye.
Yay.